Welcome to the Marketing Intern Spotlight. A marketing intern is a listener who's spreading our message authentically. Hear their story, their passion, and their journey. Enjoy.
Today on the Backpocket podcast, let's welcome Jordy Lundell. How you doing today?
I'm doing great, boys. Thanks for having me.
Hey, dude, that is a really nice hat.
You know what? I just got it from a couple sweet-ass dudes.
Couple of average dudes.
Average dudes.
Mm-hmm.
Gave it to an average guy.
Love it.
Look, and that's, we operate in average, and that's just who we are. You know, I don't know how else to say it.
And the best part, I think, of your whole get up right now is you showing up in Star Wars attire.
Absolutely. It was either Backpocket tee or Star Wars.
Love it.
I went Star Wars.
You were the first ever purchaser of a Backpocket tee?
Mm-hmm.
I was.
Those things are vintage now.
I remember I ordered it, and I got the order confirmation. It said order number 00001.
Mm-hmm.
Your order's confirmed. I was like, sweet. That was the first one.
First one.
Let's go.
I hand delivered that.
You did.
I drove
yes.
to your apartment and I asked like the people at the front counter, like, where's Jordy
I remember you
Lundell?
saying that, yes.
And I walked it straight to your door and I put it right in front. Yeah.
That's right.
And then Deck had a little handwritten note inside it.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Love it.
Good stuff.
Love it.
Well, Jordy, we know a ton about you through St. Thomas football and growing up in that program together. Our marketing interns don't necessarily know you, so if you could give a brief background about yourself, that'd be awesome.
Absolutely. Grew up in Cannon Falls. 50% of the people I tell know where that's at. They either say, have no idea, or yeah, I've driven through it. It's halfway between here and Rochester. Grew up in Cannon. Went to the University of St. Thomas, finance major. Probably never going to use that anymore. We'll get into that later. But I played football with you boys. Was blessed with a fifth year after a knee injury. And here we are.
Frick yeah, dude. That's nice, short, and simple. So why no finance, dude? You got to be doing
Well, okay.
What about tax season, dude?
Yeah, no.
Come on.
I shouldn't say no finance. But it was one of those things where I was kind of forced to pick a major. I mean, 50% of the people you talk to in college are like, yeah, I got to the point where I had to pick a major.
Mm-hmm. And you knew you were in the business department.
And I like the stock market. I think it's freaking awesome. My grandma loves the stock market. So I was like, yeah, I could do stuff with the stock market. So I was like, I'll major in finance. I'll become a financial advisor. Help people pick stocks. And
you did that.
I did. And I had a great internship, 2 summers, interned at the same company.
Where at?
North Star Resource Group.
Okay.
Garrett Kalau, St. Thomas alum.
Yep.
Works there currently. I met him.
Shout out Garrett. Great man.
Shout out Garrett.
Is he still there?
He is.
Okay.
Yep, still there. Interned there 2 summers, and I was like, they offered me a job, and I was like, sweet, I have this job lined up. Now I can focus on football, school, and like enjoying this last year of college. And didn't really take time to, I guess, figure out what I really wanted to do with my life. And got done with, school and football, and I was like, all right, here we go. Gonna, dive right into this financial advising business. I knew it was tough. I knew it'd be hard.
You spent 2 summers doing it.
2 summers doing it. It was, the summers was more, helping advisors. Like I wasn't there with them for their 13-hour days. I was there part-time. So I was just hanging out with them. I was like, this is great. Like I can just help them market themselves. That's what I was doing. I was marketing for them. Mm-hmm. And I was like, I love this. Like I could see myself doing this. And then I got full on into it, and I was like, holy crap, this is really tough. And it's like, I'm not just marketing all day. I'm like, I have to go do seminars and, go out and meet people. And I'm an introverted guy. Like that's not where I thrive. Not like J-Man, Joey Puck.
Yep.
I'm not an extrovert.
He thrives.
Oh
exactly.
This is dojo, dude. That's
I know.
literally what he said.
Yep. But, so it was got to a point I was about 3 months into that job, making little dollars. And it was Masters Friday. And I was sitting at my desk. I was watching Tiger. And I was sitting there. I was like, oh my gosh, like, what am I doing? Staring at my computer screen. I think I was staring at my screen, just a blank screen with Tiger on my little phone for like 3 hours. I'm like, what am I doing? And like at that point, I have anxiety. I'm an anxious guy. And it just had gotten worse over those last 3 months. I was like, I got to go do something. So and within 20 minutes, I scheduled an appointment to go to the doctor. Went to the doctor, and I was like, hey, it's my job. It's giving me like incredible anxiety. And he's like, yeah, just, you got to figure out and do what you love. I was like, all right. Like, went home, talked to my dad, and just poured my heart out. And I was like,
oh, yeah.
Dad, like, I can't do this anymore. It's not what I like to do. And he was like, I was expecting this backlash. Like, you know what? You're already committed to it. You have a finance major. Like, what are you going to do? And he was totally open with it and was like, You gotta do what you like to do. I was like, that's freaking awesome.
Yeah, the most inspirational thing a
Exactly.
parent could say.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
So then, came the hard part where I had to go into work and, tell them it's not what I wanted to do. I wasn't enjoying it. And that's the main thing with work. You got to do something you like to do. And then it's not work.
Mm-hmm.
So quit that job. I've never quit anything in my life. And that was the hardest thing I've ever had to do. And it was excruciating.
At that point, were you looking for other jobs, or were you cut ties with North Star,
yep.
correct?
So I cut ties. And looking back, I honestly think that's the only way with that career. That's kind of if I were to stick with it, and it's like you're putting in time and effort, and you're putting in time and effort to something that you're not going to have. So it's like I'd be putting in time and effort to gain these clients, but then I just leave them out to dry. Like, I'm sorry, I'm gone. Like, you're left by yourself. They'll put you with another advisor, but I won't be there.
Mm-hmm.
So it was one of those things was like, I can't do it. The stress on myself was so bad. I was like, gotta leave. Then I was looking for jobs, and ever since I was little, I always liked, creating stuff, whether it was, movies, taking pictures, and that kind of got me the idea. And you guys, I had a meeting with you, AI,
mm-hmm.
me and Garrett, and we talked about the whole content aspect of what I thought how it would help us in financial advising. And I was like, in that meeting, I was like, I just want to help people make content. Like, that's all I want to do. I don't want to, do all the other side stuff that comes, with financial advising. It's not what I actually enjoy doing. So I was like, why not try to do that every day for the rest of my life? And so that got me into like looking for marketing jobs, video production. I've always loved being around cameras. I made these videos when I was little. My Canon buddies will love this, but I had this stupid little flip phone, and we made a Sasquatch movie.
No way.
What?
My buddy Brock, we put brown marker on his chest. He wore this giant, like, it was like a Moses wig or like a Jesus wig, but
mm-hmm.
it was huge and with a beard. And we made these Sasquatch movies. There was like a 3-episode series.
No shit. How long were they?
Oh, they were probably 2 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's good content.
But they were amazing. It went from discovering Sasquatch, and then we do something with Sasquatch, and then we end up shooting Sasquatch with a bow and arrow.
No way. Sasquatch died.
But it was one of those things like, yeah, I was like the director making these movies, and it had to be one take because you couldn't. It was a flip phone. You can't edit on that.
Mm-hmm.
But then we went to church. It was like later that night, and we showed everyone these videos we made. We were so proud of them. But so I mean, that's kind of where I saw myself going was, making videos and producing content. And
Hold on, real quick though, what's really cool already about this story is like when you were in your situation of like, I don't like what I'm doing, I want to find what I love.
Mm-hmm.
You reverted back to the thing that you were doing when you were like, how old, when you learned that you liked making video?
6th grade, something like that.
6th grade. You went back to the thing that you loved when you were
Right.
in 6th grade, dude.
That's like 12 years old, I think, something around those lines.
Bro, you're in your nascency.
Yeah.
Right. And it's funny because I've always liked doing stuff like that, but it was in my head, it was not what would make me money, or it's not the, the norm or the status quo or what people think is cool. It's like that I was always listening to other people in my head, and I just needed to, figure it out and do what I like to do.
Well, and I wouldn't say you were like, you weren't put in a situation that was bad. You were
Right.
just kind of following a path. You weren't putting a ton of thought to it.
Yeah.
Like you honestly said, you were like, yeah, I had my job secured so early on, and
Right.
you just kind of spent that year in limbo,
Right.
just not even really thinking twice about
Exactly. And that was a blessing. I mean, you're in college and you think I have a half year left and I have a job secured. That's a blessing.
Yeah.
For a lot of people, that's awesome. And I was blessed to have that. Like, that whole experience isn't bad.
Mm-mm.
Like, it taught me so many things, and I'm blessed for that experience. I'm blessed for the company. The company was awesome, but it wasn't for me.
Right. And then you finally came to that realization where you had the confidence in yourself to cut ties.
Right.
And you started looking for marketing jobs.
Yep.
That's a scary position because now you're
Oh,
unemployed.
it's terrifying. Yeah.
And you're out of school. So there's all these bills piling up and you're like, I have to figure out a way. And you're just looking online, just trying to figure
Yep.
out what that next step was.
That was one of the most terrifying parts, was because I applied to probably like 40, 50 marketing gigs. I was just like, I need to get exposure somehow. I don't care if I'm making $12 an hour as an intern. Like, I need something. And so I applied, wasn't hearing anything back. And if I did hear something back, it was, we're not going to hire you because you don't have a marketing degree.
Yep.
And I was like, oh, that sucks. Like,
You're like, ah, shit.
Like, what am I? Do I have to go back and, be a financial analyst? Like, that started going through my head. I was like, well, I don't know. I don't like that. So then I had a couple interviews and went to the final round and one of them. And then it came down to me and another candidate. And they called me and they're like, we really loved you. Love what you do. But it came down to who has a marketing degree. I was like, oh, that sucks. But, it all worked out. So it was about a week later. I was on Google. I typed in like social media content creator jobs, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I've never heard of this website. It's called Barefoot Student.
Okay.
Never heard of it.
Never heard of it either.
It was like, honestly, it looked like kind of like a janky job site. It was super weird. It was like really bad web design. And I was like, all right.
We know bad web design.
Yeah.
If I got my eyes on this, I could tell. Like I can know if they use this, the generic Squarespace template that we also use,
Right.
Except our website's a little better now.
Yeah, a little bit.
Just a tad.
But I came across, it was this job posting. It was for VSM Real Estate. And all it said under it was looking for someone to help out with social media. And that's all it said. I was like, well, might as well apply. Applied, didn't hear anything back. And so I looked up the company. I'm like, wow, they look like they know what they're doing. They're young guys. Ryan Schroeder's CEO. And
what's his name?
Ryan Schroeder.
Ryan Schroeder.
Yep.
For some reason, I've heard of VSM. That sounds
they're
very.
Right downtown St. Paul.
Are they? Do they do virtual reality, like tours of real estate property?
I think they do some.
Okay.
That's not like their.
That's not their main thing.
Not their main.
Okay,
thing.
sorry.
No.
I might be thinking. I don't know. Anyways, keep going.
I don't know. But so I saw that, applied, didn't hear anything back, and so I emailed Ryan Schroeder and I just said, hey, applied on Barefoot. Saw you looking for someone to help out with social media. I don't have a lot of experience, but I love a shot. You know what I mean?
I'm hungry.
Yeah. And he reached out and he's like, didn't see it come through Barefoot, but I'd love to have lunch with you. Went and had lunch. He's like, just shoot me some content, whatever you got. And like at that time I had like no videos ready. So I went on, I pulled the Gary V keynote from YouTube and like edited it with the, the time bar and the little graphic and the captions, shot that to him. And then I made so I've been doing some kind of real estate videos of interior. So I made like a demo reel of what I do for that. He's like, I absolutely love it. Like, come shoot some videos for me this week. And we can talk about like a, like a job or a contract. And so this is last week now.
You're kidding.
Oh my God.
I'm following him around making videos. And it was literally like vlog style. It's like the Gary V, D-Rock follows him around, shoots whatever he does. And I was following Ryan around just being like a little puppy by his side, like shooting houses. We're going to do like a flip process of a house where it's start, middle, end. Shot like a vlog style, like I said. And then we're doing I edited up a keynote he did. And I like chopped all this up, sent it to him, showed him this past couple days ago now. And he said, absolutely love it. It's like, I love what you're doing. Let's get you on board Monday. Let's get started. And I was like, awesome.
Was that this Monday? Or was that coming Monday?
This coming Monday.
You're kidding.
Oh my God.
This coming Monday.
Breaking news.
Yeah, breaking news. We're going to be full go.
That is so freaking cool.
It's it made me so excited just because I've never done this professionally. And to be able to, have people say like, love your work or you're doing great. We want you. And it's like, that's so cool.
It's incredible.
Made me feel awesome.
Because all that headspace you were putting on, the pressure you're putting on yourself, you're like, this isn't going to work out. No one's gonna believe in me because I don't have all of the tangible things on my resume.
Right.
But for some reason, Ryan Schroeder, is that correct? Ryan Schroeder said, love to grab lunch. Shoot me some demo or give me some demo. Yeah. And then he just gave you a chance and you capitalized. That's incredible.
And that's what he told me too. After I showed him the videos, he goes, this full week, because this past week I thought I already had a job, like I was like locked up, and he told me this whole week, he's like, that was your trial run. He's like, if it didn't work out, then I was gonna tell you it wasn't gonna work out, but he's like, that was your trial run, and now we like it. You're good to go. Let's get going on Monday.
Yes.
Dude.
I was like, there we go. That's all I needed.
Act like you have the job before you have it.
That's honestly credit to him for that. Gave me that confidence. I was like, all right, I'm here. Might as well put my full effort into it.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
That's so smart. And even like that whole industry, like I always think about that, like, oh my God, like who's the guy who follows around Gary Vee all
Exactly.
day? Like, holy shit. Like, there's so many people that need that. And I even, because Andrew and I are big into, like, listen to comedy podcasts. And that whole group with, like, D'Elia and Theo Von and the Tiger Belly podcast. And all those guys have, like, this conglomerate of producers. And what do they do on their off time? They film themselves, but at the same time, they just follow those guys around.
Exactly.
And if it's Swartz and if it's Brendan Schaub filming like his 3 podcasts and D'Elia just going down to his stuff. Like, it is one of the, probably one of the most needed jobs right now is what you're just getting into.
Yeah. And that's what Gary Vee preaches to people is, if you want to build your personal brand, you got to document your everyday activities. And he said, just tossing content out there. People are going to want to watch, even if it's something boring. Like his garage sailing. Like, to a lot of people that's boring, but to me that's so interesting how he's flipping mugs from $1 to $30.
Yeah.
Like, that's awesome. It's
incredible. And it's just, you have to be so hungry. And then at the same time, the way he captures it and the way he's presenting to people provides that little inspiration, like, I can do that type thing. And I'm blown away always by the way he portrays it.
Yeah, right. And the crazy thing, too, is, like, I think you two were talking about, because I remember he had a lunch with you or whatever and then came and told me about it. And Andrew and I are super, like, keen on, or big believers, I would say, in the fact that the podcast is great and all, but it's really a fuel source for social media.
Yeah.
And, like, obviously we want everybody to listen to this, and, like, this is where it's gold, right? It's just a conversation, and, like, we know how to orchestrate it. But, like, Andrew and I can't put out 9 pieces of content every single day on 3 or 4 different social media platforms. Do the math. Like, that's over 30 pieces of content. We can't do that unless we have this podcast, right? We're always creating. Whether we know it or not, whether we forget that Maddie C is behind the mic right now or behind the camera recording, like, this is all stuff that can be chopped up and put out. And it's crazy. Like, I talk about this sometimes where I go through and listen to all of our podcasts. Every single week we have a process where I go through and I listen to every minute and I show note. And whenever I hear Jordy just talking about his amazing story you talked about, 10 minutes ago, that I'll tag that and be like, Jordy just talked about this. Great content. And then Andrew will produce this very podcast, and then he'll go through and look for the great content, hilarious content, good content. This one made me cry, like shit like that. And then that's how we get all of our social media posts.
And that's awesome.
That's how we do it every week.
Right.
It's crazy.
And it's just gotten a little bit more fine-tuned throughout.
Yeah.
And it's the same model that you are just starting to use is YouTube University.
Oh, yeah.
Gaining your skills on YouTube is so easy, and you can get the basic functions and get advanced in something from any type of technology, software field, and all sorts of areas.
Right. And I feel like a lot of people, they think it ends with YouTube. Like, a lot of big names, they'll say, okay, if I put out 2 videos a week, I'll grow my following. But it's like you were talking about, Deck. You need to post that pillar content and then chop it up, toss it to every single social media platform, which draws people to the YouTube channel or the podcast. It's like, that's going to grow your following. Yep. Like, just posting to YouTube might grow your following if you're a big name, but posting to social media with that content is going to grow it so much faster.
Absolutely. It's the little sound bites and I honestly think there's like a photo that Gary Vee like posted of how, or maybe someone that just got super in depth into Gary Vee of like the way he goes about delivering his content, and all of it is the funnel to YouTube. But he has the sound bites on LinkedIn. He has the sound bites on Snapchat and Instagram. And then he has a little bit longer on IGTV and just slowly pushes you up the funnel. And at the top is YouTube, and it's podcasting, because it's a lot. It's a big commitment to sit down and listen to a podcast. And if you can get someone there, then they're invested in you and in your brand.
For sure. It's the Gary Vee, I think it's called the content deck or something, content model.
The 81 slide content deck that he released on LinkedIn.
Yep.
I remember I had a couple people send me that, and I was like, look, I don't really need to look at this because I kind of, not cockily, but I just like knew what he was getting at. It was like, hey, you record for an hour and then you chop it up into 300 million pieces, right? But like the crazy thing about Gary Vee is he's so smart, like he's so competitive, and so he like studies each he takes it one step further, right, and studies each individual social media platform and analyzes it for what it's great at. So on Twitter, that's his text messages, dude. Gary V's out there just tweeting random shit and then interacting with people on there.
Right.
Getting that immediate feedback, that immediate retweet, that immediate comment. And that's how he does like giveaways and all this random stuff. Then you go on LinkedIn and he's bleeping out his stuff.
Yep.
He's saying how to grow your business, how to be the best CEO. He's like very, very business Gary V on there. And like, if you don't know him, if you only know him through LinkedIn, you're like, dude, this guy's a beast. Like, you're going to want to go and look at his content and then realize, oh, Gary V's a guy who's going to say the F word 10,000 times, right? And then Instagram, he's like that new hip guy who's thrifting and he's doing these IGTV vlog series on IGTV and like he's posting these cartoons, dude. He's
Lil V.
Lil V. But you know what I'm saying? Like, you see how he's attacking each platform for what it's great at.
Exactly. He knows the demographic that, occupies that platform.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. So and he can do it too. That's the other thing too, where it's like Andrew and I really can't freaking put out that many pieces. I would love to see, or maybe someone's done it, but just see how many pieces of content Gary V's putting out on a daily basis.
I bet.
Like what's the number, dude?
Yeah.
It's wild.
Holy sh! And what's the process look like, right? Because we're all creators, editors here. Like, what is his streamlined management tree, and what is his streamlined process? Like, does he have like a guy who does copy, who then gets the video from the guy who does the captions, who then gets the video from the guy who does the creative of it, and the guy who does the style, and then Gary V sits at the top of that funnel and says, that was really good content right there. D-Rock, run with it. And then D-Rock's like, okay, this is how we're going to do it. And then pushes it out to a team of like 5 interns.
Yeah. That's wild.
So many different avenues.
So many.
And you found your little niche.
I did.
Niche. And I'm curious if you've done any research on what the real estate industry could use from this type of model. And like how do you see you squeezing into this type of format?
No, that's a great question. Mm-hmm. I have done some research, and what's becoming big right now that they don't have enough of is the behind the scenes.
And little BTS.
Little BTS. So kind of like what I mentioned earlier with like, so you can, you flip a house. You could say show a before and after picture of what the flips look like. But having your community go through the actual process with you, just, falling around from what it was at the beginning, getting, the real estate agent's thoughts on it, and then going in midway while it's being worked on, getting like the construction guy's thoughts on it, and then the after of what it's like, what the buyers feel like, how the real estate agent feels about it, and then just getting that whole behind the scenes feel where the community actually feels like they're a part of it.
Money.
That's big.
Whoa. Absolutely. And I'm thinking of like House Hunters and all the stuff that's on
I defaulted to that too.
Yeah,
that's so true.
And they've commercialized it and devalued the personalization of it.
Right.
And I'm just thinking like the only time I've watched it is with you, Matt. You watch HGTV. Like there's a big audience there's a whole station on our network that has house development.
It's literally dedicated to real estate, dude.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So figuring out like how they've commercialized it and make it personal.
They Hollywooded a little bit, right? Get some drama in there. Get some reality TV-esque in there. I don't know if Karen wants this nice bathroom in here. We might have to remodel to a Jack and Jill. You never know. You just never know.
Right.
And that's the thrill of HGTV. And I'll go on this podcast and say it. HGTV is a great network, dude.
It is.
Yeah. It's got its value.
My girlfriend watches it all the time, and I'll grab my dinner, come sit on the couch, and be like, oh, HGTV's on, and then I'll end up sitting there and watch it for like 3 hours.
Mm-hmm.
It's 3 hours.
Yeah.
It's a great.
Little you were taking mental notes of how they're shooting it.
For sure.
And you're taking it to your job.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the big thing is people love before and after. So they love, say someone's on Facebook and they go, looking to buy a house. And then they go 3 weeks later and like, bought a house. Here's my new house. Boom. Here's a picture of it. Oh, great. Karen bought a house. But if you had someone taking, Karen and documenting her whole process of how she went buying that house, I feel like that's so much greater and people enjoy that so much more.
Mm-hmm.
It's way more authentic,
right?
And it connects the dots a little bit more. And I would also say, like, in terms of the authenticity, there is something that HGTV kind of lacks, right? Like we just described it as reality TV, and it's entertaining and it's a little bit Hollywood in terms of, are they gonna pick the house, that shit. But the way you film it and the way you're documenting this BTS style is you're trying to capture the reality of how it all comes together. And then once you go through that, and once you actually accomplish and get that end result of Karen just buying a sweet house, like that whole process is so much more rewarding. And
exactly,
people like that now, which I don't know what it is. I don't know why people like just more authentic and not like this overly produced stuff, but they like it.
They love it. They eat it up.
Yeah, they love it.
Yeah,
it's weird.
So you're entering in this realtor creator space.
Yep.
My next question is, are you doing anything to promote yourself filming the content?
Not yet.
Okay. And have you thought about it?
I have.
Sweet.
A lot. And it's something, once I get, I guess, established with more content.
You got to get through week 1, I think.
Exactly. Got to get through week 1.
You had week 0.
Yeah. I had week 0, week -1, you know, whatever you want to call it. But I need to get a little bit established, and then absolutely it's going to be, I actually talked about with Ryan Schroeder, the CEO, and he's like, it's going to be big for you to promote your personal brand as well while I'm promoting his.
Yep.
And it's huge, and it's something that it's exciting for me, because that's what drew me to financial advising, was the whole time I'd be promoting my personal brand. But it just, it wasn't the way I wanted to do it. And so now I get to do this while doing something I enjoy.
Absolutely. And I'm envisioning this whole thing. And the reason people are going to come to some of this realtor content is because they want to see you film it. They like how your style is because they've seen your brand on other different platforms. Either you promoting yourself or you doing a different realtor job. And now you're working for like 3 different realtor companies shooting all their footage, and you got a little team under you.
Yep.
I mean, there's so much realtor untapped content out there.
Right.
And I know there's obviously people doing it.
Yep.
And you can learn from them and make it your own style.
Exactly.
And even though it's like just with us, there's so many podcasts out there, but how are we going to fit out there, and how are we going to stand out? And I'm getting so excited because you're seeing it too, and you're starting to plan for it. And we have you on before you even started.
I know.
It's the same thing that happened with Piff Peterson.
Yep.
We had him on in February when he had 2,000 Instagram followers and maybe 10,000 TikTok followers.
Yeah,
and we thought
to clarify, he had like 125,000 TikTok followers.
Oh, he was still killing it. Okay.
He had got, when he first told us about it, he was about 50, and then when we had him on, he was about 125. But that's in February still.
Yep. And now he's at 1 million, and he's at like 30,000 Instagram followers.
He's 10x, dude,
in 3 months. Wild. And that potential is there for everyone. And hopefully that's something that you see yourself growing in, and
exactly,
we have you on before it even happens.
I know. Dude, it's so funny because you texted me. I can't remember what day you texted me and asked me to be on the podcast, but I was like, as soon as you text me, I'm like, wow, that's perfect timing. Like I guess throughout college and like when you guys started this podcast, I would think to myself, like, what would I tell people if I came on the show? Like, what would be my story? Like, what would I have, good to say that could, impact someone's life? And then right after you text me, I'm like, wow, I have my story now. Like, I'm ready to go. I can share it with people and get someone fired up. It was perfect timing.
That's awesome. And I thought of you because of how you reached out to me and continued to stay in touch with Declan and I through what you're trying to do with your financial stuff. And you're trying to grow in that field, and you're trying to see how we can help you in that. And I was like, this guy, Jordy, I knew him all through college, hungry on the football field. Now he's trying to do the same thing in his career. I want to talk to him on the podcast because I know he's going to unleash how hungry he is to grow. And that's who we reach out to that are our friends that have that little fire in their belly to be them and to grow them while helping so many other people. And
that's awesome.
So I reached out to you a week ago, and you responded within 5 minutes, like, absolutely. I actually just switched to a new job. I'm excited to talk to you about it. And I go, oh, I was just going to talk to him about how he was trying to like do well with his financial stuff, and now he's switching. This is even better.
Exactly. Worked out perfect.
That's sweet. Nuts. What's crazy though, like how as like technology kind of progresses and social media starts to become more prevalent and everything, it's so weird and awesome how like new industries are being created within the bigger industries.
For sure.
So like real estate was just one of those things, and then TV and internet comes around, and HGTVs then created within the real estate industry.
Exactly.
And now we're sitting here saying there's like this massive void in the real estate industry for BTS footage to unpack how Jen and Karen like bought a house.
Right.
And how like literally that one little thing is an entire industry.
Oh, for sure.
And now we're even going further than that and being like, okay, you know, like that's a great industry. That's one thing. But that's just one thing, right? That's Jordy's thing that's keeping him active. That's keeping him, you know, creative. That's keeping him on the ball, having to, you know, go through this process. But now we're even looking into a world where, like Andrew said, it's now you. Like you get to have your unique BTS. You get to have your creative process.
My little spin, yeah.
And dude, now people want to follow that.
Right.
Right? Like how cool is it that that's even a thing?
Yeah. And even to go like there's little back pieces to everything. So you think about like you mentioned, real estate. There's an industry now or separate industries within real estate. So you take real estate video marketing and then you take based on what like my personal brand would be doing, it'd be showing other people who want to do real estate video marketing how to do real estate video marketing. And it just keeps on going. So that's part of me building my personal brand is doing almost a behind the scenes of how I do it behind the scenes. You know what I mean? It's just, it's a chain that like almost never stops. It's crazy.
Did you watch that Casey Neistat video when he did the that like $25 million home on the top of New York building?
Yeah.
That was a real estate promo back behind the scene video for that one guy that does house hunters or whatnot.
Yep.
Yeah.
Exactly.
God damn it, house hunters are still in it.
Yeah.
And that was the same thing. He took Casey and showed him. He said this is gonna be what was it the most expensive like apartment in New York? Crazy high up. I don't know how many stories it was, but and it wasn't even done yet. And it was content. It was
Casey making it look sweet, and right when that house goes on the market, it's gonna go.
I was gonna say, and for sure, there's gonna be another video of maybe Casey going back and seeing what it's like when it's all done, and just like you said, it's gonna be gone in seconds.
And that guy, that realtor, thought of Casey to shoot the footage.
Right.
They're gonna think of Jordy to shoot my footage type thing.
Yep. That's the hope.
That's the hope. That's the plan.
Yep.
Well, and the other cool thing too is like you don't have to do the Casey Neistat $95 million or $25 million house in New York City on the top floor. Like looking at it that way is like, oh my God, that's a boulder of anxiety just coming right for me.
Right.
But
I have to do that.
Oh my God, I have to do that. And it's like, no, dude, you can find a local real estate agent, do the same thing for them.
Ryan Schroeder,
right? You know what I'm saying? Like it's in your backyard, dude.
It is.
It's in your backyard. All these guests that we have on we prefer almost 100% of the time now that you come into the studio.
Right.
For the reason that there are so many people around here that we can unpack their stories. And that's like our market, but for anybody's market, like you can make a killing just by doing that within your own 15-mile radius.
Right.
It's insane.
It's awesome.
It's super cool.
So flip into the Backpocket core questions here.
Let's do it.
You know the drill. You've listened to all, and I can't wait to ask more questions with Backpocket oriented.
Yeah.
But to start, it's your average quality. Something you do well at times and other times not so well. So Jordy, what is your average quality?
Okay, this is probably a stereotypical answer, but it's got to be cooking, man.
Oh my God! How many podcasts have you listened to of Backpocket? What's like your ballpark? How many
ballpark? Okay, how many do you have? Total.
I don't even know.
100 and
we're in the 170s,
range,
I think. 180 maybe.
Jeez, I'm at least 100.
Yeah.
Damn.
That's awesome.
That's fucking sick.
There's a lot of cooking. I mean, I've said cooking many times.
I know. And so I was thinking about this earlier. I'm like,
right. You've listened to other people come on here and say cooking.
But
right?
let me explain now. I'm not just going to say cooking and drop
sweet.
it.
You got it.
Sorry I ever interrupted you, dude.
No, you're good.
It's my fault.
Keep interrupting, man. If you don't want to hear the story, just interrupt me.
No. Go.
So I was at my girlfriend's old apartment, and I had this great idea. I wanted to make this steak in a skillet pan, like butter and rosemary. Whatever it's rosemary, right?
We can call it
it's rosemary.
It's rosemary.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever.
You have to say it like this. Rosemary.
But I had this great idea. I was gonna make this pan-seared steak. I'd never done it before. I saw it on TV. It looked great. And my girlfriend wanted a salmon. I was like, oh sweet, that's super easy. Pan-seared salmon. Looked it up. Knew how to do it. So I made this steak, cooked it up, and I was like, this looks freaking awesome. Get the salmon. I'm looking at this thing. She's sitting on the couch. I'm like, I have no idea what I'm doing. And so I see this skin on the salmon. I'm like, oh, there shouldn't be skin there. So I'm like peeling the skin off. And she comes over. She's like, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm peeling the skin off the salmon. She's like, that you can cook it with that. It stays there. I'm like, okay. So like now there's this half a salmon with half skin. Toss it on the skillet. No idea what I'm doing. Absolutely butcher the salmon while I have this amazing steak. Oh, unreal. But she's got this crappy salmon.
Yeah.
Next story. Christmas time. Me and my girlfriend again. We're at Target. And she came across these jars with like cookie ingredients. We brought them home and I wanted to make cookies. I was like, let me make them. I was like, I want to do it by myself. So we got these little cookie cutouts of snowman and Christmas trees, whatever. Just, super Christmas. Love Christmas. And I'm making these cookies. I'm like, this is going great. Cookie cutter them all. Toss them in the oven. Go back. Check them out. The cookies are no joke, like 3 inches thick.
No way.
I'm like, what did I just do? I made cake. And they did not taste good. It was terrible. So, I mean, there's just, like, I can make a bomb breakfast. Like, thanks to my dad. My dad knows how to cook a breakfast.
If you can't make breakfast, then you're not even a cook.
That's true.
Right?
Yeah.
You got it. That's the fundamentals.
That's very true.
Mm-hmm.
Like, when you create, like, your My Player and you're a cook.
Yeah.
And it's, you're trying to figure it out. You're a 67 overall rating, and the first thing you're whipping out is like pancakes.
That's right.
That's
right.
It's if you can't do pancakes,
you toss a couple eggs and then you're good.
Yeah. You're golden.
Yep.
And then like level 2, like you'll get to like a 70 overall. That's just timing between the toast and the eggs. And then like a 74 overall would be like putting it together.
Exactly.
Making a sandwich, an egg sandwich. If you could do that.
That tastes good.
Yeah, that tastes good. With salt and pepper.
Yep.
Man, so are you trying to expand the repertoire of cooking right now, or are you just going to settle for average?
Right now, I'm settling for average.
Okay.
Totally fine with me. I mean, in the future, I'm going to have to cook for some kids in the future. I mean, I got to be decent at it.
Yeah. Well, again, you just said your dad, you just congratulated your dad on this podcast, which congrats to your
Pops,
dad.
Your breakfast is awesome. So.
Right? Like now everybody knows that.
That's right.
And that's all your dad had to do.
Yeah.
Why can't you just do that?
That's right.
Don't stress out about that. What is your girlfriend good at cooking?
She is.
Okay. So
very good. So I mean, that's another reason I'm totally content with being extremely average at cooking right now.
You just got to fill the gaps. Be a utility guy when she knows that you got to help out around someplace. You have your go-to meals, and you just got to be great at those.
I'll stand there and watch. I'll hand her the salt and pepper. She needs it, but
chop up the onions.
The onions. Yep.
Look,
exactly.
Yeah. Again, be the utility guy, but like honestly, when we all love Christmas, we all love Thanksgiving. We just got to be cognizant of the fact that there could be too many cooks in the kitchen.
Exactly.
Right. So you got to know your space, right? You don't want to get too confident after you skin some potatoes, right? You don't want to get all in there.
And don't skin the salmon.
Don't skin the salmon.
Gosh.
And be the dishes guy. You can never go wrong with just
huge.
Owning the dishes and always cleaning up, because that's a huge process. And if you can just take that off from the cook, then they appreciate that.
It's huge.
So there's ways to overcome your average qualities, and we've thought of them all now because
I was gonna say
all the people telling us how average they are at cooking.
Yeah, I got another idea. Let's make a cookbook and just do it off of everybody's average qualities, and like everybody has had these stories of like not being good at cooking. So we just we should try to do that.
Yeah,
that's amazing. Yeah. Let's do it. You have to do it.
We'll make a little book.
Okay. We'll get back to you. Give us a couple months. I'll figure something out.
For sure. I love that.
So cooking's your average quality. You know, you're not great at all times. But sometimes you can cook a good breakfast.
Sometimes. Yep.
But what's in your back pocket that you carry around as Jordy Lundell to overcome these tough times?
Yep. For sure. Obviously my family, for sure. Like this whole little rough patch, I guess you can call it, that I went through, it was, backed by my family and close friends, and it was obviously they're always there for me whenever I need them. Now, flip gears to something, I guess, more lighthearted would be my Star Wars obsession. Whenever, so if I come back from a long day, whatever, feeling a little down, flip on a Star Wars movie. I'm good to go for 3.5 hours enjoying Star Wars. Or if I'm, if I'm chilling at a bar, some awkward dude sitting next to me trying to have a conversation, just bring up Star Wars. A lot of people know what Star Wars is. I can rattle on for days. I'm an extremely nerdy Star Wars fan. That's always in my back pocket whenever I need it.
We talked about Star Wars so often.
Yeah.
Even on the football field, like when we come off the field and we're huffing and puffing, and we just look at each other like, "You gonna go watch the Star Wars tonight?" "Oh yeah, man, it's gonna be great. All right, let's get back in there."
What'd you think of the new Star Wars film?
Yeah.
It was great, man. I loved it. Let's go.
I mean, those type of alternative like worlds almost as the scapegoat. We've used it all the time, and Star Wars just always hits home. I don't know what we've vibed off Star Wars for so long.
So do we.
Yeah.
We've gone and seen every single like new premiere of a movie together.
Yep.
And with Gamiel as well. Gamiel's the other one involved with that. Probably should get you involved as well. What do you think about?
Let's go.
What do you think about the new movies?
You know
in terms in the scope of the whole series.
The story. I like the story, but obviously there's some like plot holes that hopefully they're filled in with this last episode. Mm-hmm. But like the cinematography, I guess, and the graphics and the visual effects, freaking awesome.
It's amazing.
Like you can't get much better than that. So cool.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's so much hate with the recent Star Wars movies. I think like a lot of people are just super upset, but
let them be.
Yeah, and I get it.
I do too, but they're also really good movies too. So
yeah, it's Star Wars, dude. Like, get over it. It's you have to look at it through like the lens of a kid. Like if I were to go back and, as a 23-year-old dude, go back and watch all the like Phantom Menace and Clone Wars and all those ones and like just try and pick it apart because I can. Like I wasn't able to pick apart a movie when I was in like 5 years old.
Exactly.
Like you just enjoyed it because you're just like, oh my god,
it's so cool. Darth Maul is a double-sided lightsaber.
You got to be kidding me. What will you think of next, George? Holy shit. That's amazing. But like it was everything. I'm sure you're on the same page with this with like Lego Star Wars, then like Lego Star Wars the video games, and then I just did it all, the whole 9 yards. I just loved Star Wars.
It kind of going back to kind of the hate with the new Star Wars movies, but Adam Kraft said it best, and it made so much sense. He said these diehard fans, they come up with these, theories and plots in their head, and they just sit on them and wait because they have 2 years to wait till next movie. And then when something doesn't happen, they're automatically disappointed. And it's like that's the upside and the downside that comes with being so invested, like in a a series or a world.
Yep.
It's like you can get so disappointed if what you want to happen or think's gonna happen doesn't happen.
Yeah, you don't always get what you want. Well, Adam Kraft is really good at writing. Whenever I see his LinkedIn posts, and I always read them, and they're always well written, and I understand exactly what he's getting at, and it's always like a great point. I don't always agree with it. I'm like, wow, you articulated your words
exactly.
Well. Thank you for that, Adam.
Yep. Mm-hmm. And it made so much sense when he told me that. I was like, yep.
Good for that, man.
Whenever I've been disappointed in Star Wars, it's because what I thought was going to happen didn't happen.
Yeah.
So.
All right, but I get to the point now where I'm just like excited that we're still watching Star Wars as like 23-year-olds, and like we get to just get interested in a plot line.
Yep.
Like where are they gonna take it from here?
Right.
And it's just fun. Like it was so much fun. It was so much fun going to that episode 7, and. Yeah, was it the best movie in the world? I don't know. I watched it literally once, and then I went to the movies like 2 years later and watched the next one. Yep. And I haven't watched it since. But is it come out December, the newest one?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So this upcoming December, I'm gonna go watch that one and be like, pick up right where I left off.
Exactly.
It's amazing.
Yep.
And Jordy, you've challenged yourself, growing in your career, and you're taking on this new venture, and that's mad kudos and mad props to that. I love how you're challenging yourself right now, and here on the Back Pocket we love challenging ourselves, and we would love for you to challenge us to get someone inside your network or someone that you think we should have on this show.
So funny. So I was thinking about this earlier and my first thought was you got to have Coach K, and then you guys put out a story, I think. Yeah. It said Coach K's doing it live tomorrow. I'm like, there goes my idea. Mm-hmm. But then I thought about it again, and I was like, someone I think who'd be good to have is Matt Simon. He's my relative. Coaches at the U of M with PJ Fleck. Mm-hmm. He went to Northern Illinois, played football, spent some time with the Saints and Drew Brees, won a Super Bowl, and then got released, went through that whole process, and then he coached Rutgers, Western Michigan, and now he's at the U.
So he followed PJ Fleck from Western Michigan?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. And I think he has a super cool story, and I'm sure he has some extremely average qualities like we do. So.
Oh, yeah. That was awesome. I remember when I was looking to get into being administrative level in professional sports.
Yep.
I talked to Coach Walsh, and he put me in contact with Matt Simon. He never responded to my emails, but I'm familiar with the guy, and I'm familiar with he was a coach at St. Thomas, actually.
He coached tight ends.
He might have done like an internship or something, or he was like a 1-year guy there.
Yep.
And then Rutgers and Western Michigan and U of M. Those are all family, forget about me, I love you oriented programs. All of them have those pillars on there.
Right.
He would be an awesome guest.
Apparently, he brought the whole forget about me, I love you thing to St. Thomas, and I had no clue.
Really?
Yeah. It was.
How long ago was that?
It was. So he came in like 2012, I think.
Okay, that sounds right.
2012, 2011, something like that.
That national championship season, the first one, I think that was like the first time they embodied forget about me, I love you.
But I remember I was on it was a recruiting lunch, I think, and Coach Crusoe did a presentation on it, and then he brought up Matt, and I was like, oh, no clue he did that. So I texted Matt, I'm like, hey, I had no idea you brought the whole family thing to St. Thomas. He's like, yeah. He kind of explained how he got that. I don't really remember the whole story, but yeah, so I think he'd be great. Got a cool story. He's been through, some crazy stuff. Yeah, totally. He's a great story because his dad passed away too of cancer.
Oh, wow.
So he's been through, ups and downs, and I think he'd be an awesome guy to have on here.
Challenge accepted.
For sure.
Love that.
That's a great one.
I believe in you guys.
Thanks.
Thank you, man. Appreciate that. The one thing that's really cool about the family thing, I got introduced, like you were talking about how you got introduced, like the whole family aspect. When you first heard of family, was it at St. Thomas, or had you heard that from other football programs before?
It was from St. Thomas, but it was before I came to St. Thomas.
Same.
Yep.
Okay, so it must have been right when it got introduced, because when I was at Regis back in Colorado, our senior year of high school, we have camp week, and then there's one night where we all there's just a big brotherhood type thing, and alumni will come back and talk to all the current players about hey, this is the best time of your life type thing. And Eric Herringer, who went to St. Thomas but only played for a year at St. Thomas, and he came back and then implemented the family into Regis that same night.
Really? And
it still is there to this day, because when we were seniors, he brought it back that time. Yep. And we were like, that's the best thing ever.
That's awesome,
we thought it was so cool. And then we took it on, and then I had no idea he went to St. Thomas. I had no idea that was even a tie. And so we lived this whole senior year Regis football, high school football, family, all this stuff. And then I'm looking to go to college for football, and I'm deciding between Villanova, Northwestern, and St. Thomas, and I'm walking on both Northwestern and Villanova. I just wanted to go to those schools super bad.
Right.
And then St. Thomas came up because a priest at our church had been in the seminary through there and was like, dude, they got a killer program. You got to go check it out. And I show up, and I was like, oh, I get it now. Yeah. This is where it all came from. And now it's just that, then it just kind of completed the whole cycle. It's whoa.
That's awesome.
It was nuts. I thought it was the coolest thing. Mm-hmm. Wild family story.
I've embodied it. My parents have embodied it. That little mechanism has helped us become a bond stronger than ever. I mean, how many St. Thomas ex-football players have we had on this show? And a lot. Can't even count all of them. It's probably more than half of our podcasts have had.
More than half, you think?
Maybe.
Guests, or just oriented towards St. Thomas football?
A third.
Yeah. Early on, it was a lot of St. Thomas football people.
Yeah.
And I mean, even to this day, our most downloaded podcasts are typically St. Thomas people, St. Thomas football people, more specifically. This Coach K podcast, we haven't recorded it yet, but oh my God, am I just so excited, because every single St. Thomas football player we bring on, they're like, oh my God, you have to get Coach K, dude. You have to get Coach K. And it's
hot take.
We got to do it.
That might be one of the top podcasts you guys do so far. I think it is going to be monumental. Coach K is going to, he's going to have some stories, man.
Yeah.
He better not hold back.
Well, that's our job, to navigate through it and make sure that we can get the fire inside him to release it, because it's there, and we just have to do the job to craft it.
Yep.
And ignite it.
We just got to poke the bear a little bit. That's really what it comes down to. But what's funny though was Coach K. I never for the longest time, Intern, probably we were like more so scared. Like, oh my God, Coach K, that's a big feat, you know?
Yeah.
Just because we know what the conversation would be.
Mm-hmm.
And so at that Twins outing this past year, I'm like at the bar getting a drink or something. I think I was talking to Dan Ferrazzo of all people.
Mm-hmm.
And some old guy comes and taps me in the back. He's like, hey, Coach K wants to talk to you. I was like, well, first off, mister, Coach K has never wanted to talk to me in my entire 4 years of my career. So no, he doesn't want to talk to me, but I'll turn around. And I turn around, Coach K is right there. I'm like, whoa, what's up, Coach K? How you doing? Doing great. How you doing, Deck? I was like, great. He goes, so, heard you run a podcast. I was like, oh my God, here we go.
Yeah.
And I was just like, yeah, we'd love to have you on. And like, we just talked about, it's like, I just really want to get in there and articulate my thoughts. Like, I've been on podcasts before, I've been on the radio, and it's super fun to like hear myself, and I just feel like I can get better. Exactly. And I was like, would love to have you, man. Like, I have your number. I'll reach out to you. No problem. And like, we just talked about other stuff after that, but I was just like, wow.
No way.
Here we go.
He came to you guys.
He came to us.
That's unreal.
It's awesome.
It was lit.
I love that.
So that was exciting times.
Tomorrow,
dude.
11:30.
11:30.
Is he going to be right here watching that?
Right where you're sitting.
Right where you're sitting, dude.
Oh, I'm so excited.
I do want to talk about that, though, real quick. 100 Backpocket podcasts. You're an elite class of a marketing intern. You realize that, right? Like, you are probably the only. Maybe there's a couple. Maybe
Coach Huseby
would be the only guy that would rival you. I don't know. I could be wrong. I could totally be wrong. I hope I'm wrong.
Mm-hmm.
But thank you, first off.
Well,
that's
absolutely.
amazing, dude. That's super cool.
It's more of a, I guess, testament to you guys. It's like, I love just hearing people's stories, and as average as they can be. And it's like, I don't have an amazing story, like, but to get people to come here and just, talk, it's awesome. You don't get to really do that anywhere else.
Exactly.
So I love to hear that stuff.
Put the phone away and just talk about. The best part is you get to talk about yourself for an hour and not feel guilty in one 100% way or another. It's totally, the story is you, and you get to describe it any way you want, and our job is just to kind of help guide it through the way we see a lot of the interviews going.
Right.
And it's a conversation. And I gotta train my mind not to say interview because it's straight up a conversation.
Yeah. And another, going back to it all keeps going back to content, but like going back to how many different platforms you guys put content on. It's like, if I want to sit down and watch a YouTube video of the Backpocket, I can do that. Or if I'm going for a run, like, I just put you guys in my ears and just go for a run. Like, it's so easy to be able to just listen. And I think you just gotta do it.
I didn't even think about that.
Any of those stand out to you? Like, any podcast, any Backpocket podcast that you're like, these ones really hit home?
That's a good question.
Think of it from the lens of your boys or whoever is listening to this for the first time, and they're having like the time of their lives.
Yeah. Okay.
And they need the next one to listen to.
Right.
Where are you gonna send them?
Okay. I liked really liked the I forget his name, but the Sweaty Nomad.
Right on. JC Lippold. Season 3, episode 2.
Yep.
Loved him. And then I think his name's Shad
Ireland. Season 2, episode 6.
Those I love those two podcasts.
Right on.
Have you listened to them like multiple times? Like, if you like
I haven't.
Okay.
I haven't.
Joey Puck has.
Joey?
Yeah. Weird flex on Joey's end for listening to David Meltzer a couple
Hell
times.
yeah, J-Man.
Yeah, hell yeah.
J-Man.
It's his dojo, dude.
It's his dojo.
He sat on the front of this chair, like,
Absolutely
just eating
engaged.
the mic, engaged, core tight. Oh man.
Like, especially for Andrew and I, where like Andrew will go crisscross and all like fucking man spread. But when someone comes and sits down like this,
Austin Yoakum, Jesse Addo, Mark Amick, and Joey Puck.
Absolutely ready.
And like a lot of the times, like, people sit down and they're like super uncomfortable because they don't know how the mic works, and they're like, how does this work? And we're like, just sit down comfortably like you normally would and move the mic towards you, like
in front of your face.
You're crushing it. But like the ones who just like they're like, no, I'm comfortable. I'm ready.
I'm ready. Yeah,
neck extending into the mic.
Yeah, go.
It's like, okay, this is gonna be a breeze.
It's a breeze.
It's freaking awesome, man.
Absolutely.
And this has been a breeze because we love talking to you, Jordy.
Love talking to you
and
guys.
We've been asking you a ton of questions. We love to give you the opportunity to ask us a question. So, do you have any questions for us?
I do. Okay, who is the one guest you have tried the hardest to get who hasn't come on the podcast yet?
Oh, jeez.
If you had to say.
It's Joe Rogan.
Joe Rogan.
I mean, the time, like, we are always just like shooting him love.
Okay, follow-up question then. How have you been like reaching out to him, I guess? I'm just totally curious.
What I do is, because I listen to so many of his podcasts, I honestly just DM him anytime where I hear something where I could provide some value.
Yep.
So like his Elon Musk podcast, they talked about watches, and they were trying to get to something that I knew exactly about, of like the gears within a watch.
Yeah.
And I literally sent him like a paragraph and the link to like a Wikipedia link to like what they were talking about, and be like, hey, this is what it is. So I've done that a few times.
We sent him a Christmas card and a thank you note, just for like helping inspire us and stuff like that.
And that stuff's huge.
We just bought his tickets to his show September 14th.
No way, yeah.
So
that's awesome.
the journey starts now.
That's right.
Though the journey's already started, but it's continuing.
Keeps on going.
Exactly.
And then there's guys in our backyard, guys and gals in our backyard, like Cheryl Strait.
Cheryl Strait is one.
Who's the author of Wild. And then that book got turned into a movie with Reese Witherspoon.
Oh, okay.
Got nominated.
She went to St. Thomas.
Really?
So her senior year, her mom died, and her like fiance or to be fiance, I forget the story every time, but they ended things, and then so she was in like this horrible situation, didn't know what she wanted to do with her life. She went to hike the Pacific Crest Trail, and do you know what that is?
I don't.
It's the trail in California that's about a 6-month hike, I think, and it starts in Southern California and you hike all the way to Northern California.
Oh dear Lord.
And so she did it.
I think you go all the way through Canada.
All the way, yeah,
you hit Oregon, you hit Washington.
Sorry, you go all the way Pacific Crest, and so she did that and then wrote a book on it. That book became one of the biggest movies. She's like a huge keynote speaker and everything.
Stanley Hubbard started the radio.
Yeah.
His wife is a St. Thomas grad, so we're trying to like eat that network that we have, and we can tap into and just continue to have people that will lead to those pinnacle guests.
That's huge.
Another one would be Dan Buettner.
Dan Buettner, the Blue Zones.
The Blue Zones.
He's got a house right here on the Lake of the Isles with the chessboard. I don't know if you've ran past it or seen it. We did a photo shoot out in front of it just to like plug it, and he commented, and
I recognize that place. That's what he said. But so when he graduated, he was one of the first guys to ride his bike in all 50 states.
Oh, really?
And then now he does this thing called the Blue Zones, which is this book and mindset that is attacking longevity in your life. So little things that you can do in a day-to-day, whether it's your nutrition, your mindset, your just different things. And he'll go around the country and the world, honestly, and interview these old people who are like 100 years old or however, and like he studies these people and understands like why are they alive and thriving at this age, and he unpacks it, and then he uses that as like the fuel source for this whole Blue Zones thing.
That's awesome.
And so we have his book, and we've been hitting him up. When did they say?
Both Cheryl Strait and Dan Buettner said August of 2019.
Oh, really?
They said just reach back out, and come August 1 at midnight, you're gonna see an email in your inbox.
In your inbox. So
that's amazing.
There's a good chance we'll get. Hopefully, we get them both on at some point. Those would be awesome guests. But man,
there's a lot more.
There's so many. It just goes on
big
forever.
Rabbit hole. But thanks for that question.
Yeah.
And I hope our listeners hear that and know that we're out there challenging ourselves.
That's right.
It's important. That's what it's all about.
It's important.
But do you have any final questions?
I'm good.
This comes to our last question, Jord. What did you learn today from the moment that you woke up to when we're having this conversation?
Heck yeah. Ring, ring, man.
Ring, ring, ding, ding.
So we kind of already touched on it, but I learned how awesome this type of platform for sharing is, because if you were to go, say we just went out to lunch and like chatted, like I would never just, I guess, spill my story and just talk all about me or mostly about me, but like having this, platform or escape for some people and just being able to hear the story is so freaking awesome. And that's what draws me to this podcast, is just hearing average people tell their average to awesome stories.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so cool. I think it's awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of people that we have on that we don't really realize that are naturally an introverted person.
Yep.
And share that same thing that you mentioned right from the get-go. They have a little bit of anxiety with public speaking and sharing their own story. They don't have a lot of confidence in just talking about themselves. They're givers, natural givers. And every single time we have those people on, those are the ones that seem to be the most rewarding, because they walk out and they're like, guys, thank you. Just thank you for letting me just talk and share my story. And like the hair standing up on my arms, I just get so much goosebumps. I love these experiences.
You nailed it to a T. I'm probably as introverted as they come. And it's like, being able to just share this, because the only people I've shared it with is my family and, my girlfriend. You know what I mean? So
that's that's so cool that's like what we get to do. Like we get to be a part of that. Right. And it's as simple as having that conversation.
Right.
And it's, great that we have no distractions, but it's awesome like that you have the confidence and that you like truly believe in what you've accomplished and what you've done, and you're willing to admit and wear your failures and know that that's just a part of that's just a blip in the radar. That's just 30 seconds of a podcast. Right. And that's just going to elevate you to the next thing.
Exactly.
So it's like why I love doing this, man. It's honestly one of my favorite things is just being able to have these kind of conversations on a Friday night.
Heck yeah.
Best way to do it, man.
Let's have a great weekend.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much, Jord.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate it.
West Coast in my heart, right where I'm meant to from the start. It's so much warmer than the secrets you've been holding in. And don't you look at me sour.